since I'm dealing with a bunch of my files being corrupted, thank you very much, Windows, Brave Little Toaster review is going to be put on hold, but just so I can get another review out there, Brokeback Mountain, everyone! This seemed a fitting review to do at this time, considering where I live, New York State, gay marriage just got passed. Ironically, though, I hate this movie. In fact, it's even hard to begin to talk about this movie without quickly touching on my personal history with it. I grew up in a very Christian household, so naturally this movie was shunned by everyone I knew. They claimed it promoted immorality and an unnatural lifestyle. But meanwhile, the very few openly gay people I knew in my school would sing its praises and treat it like it was cinematic gold and worthy of an Oscar. Now, I'm not going to discuss my personal beliefs about Christianity, though I will say any mindset that tells me that I'm an abomination for thinking Megan Fox is hot, well, that's not a mindset I want to be a part of. So recently, I managed to finally take a look at this movie and see if it was worth all the hype I'd heard, if it was really as horrible as the Christians said it was, or if it was really as wonderful as the gay community said it was. So basically, in over a 2-hour-long frame, we see two cowboys go up into Brokeback Mountain to herd sheep. One of them has to sleep outside at night and keep watch while the other gets to sleep in the tent. From the very beginning of the movie, all they really do is just complain and complain, and they never really talk or bond, except for a few bizarre moments where Jake Gyllenhaal's character looks like he's finally cracked.
Burn his guts out! Waving to the girls in the stands! He's kicking me to high heaven! But he don't dashboard me no...
Finally, one night it's too cold for Heath Ledger's character to get any sleep outside the tent, so he shares the tent with Gyllenhaal. And what happens? They lay down, go to sleep, Gyllenhaal reaches over to pull Ledger's arm around him, Ledger sits up and starts to fight with him, and they start having sex.
All the old familiar places.
I didn't cut anything out of here, it really goes down like this. It comes right the fuck out of nowhere and feels completely out of place. I mean, they went from barely getting along to having sex. You know, I find the romance in regular romance movies really hard to buy, but this takes it to a whole new level. The following morning is obviously awkward, and while they avoid each other throughout the day, they finally sit down at the end of the day and talk about it, both of them telling each other that they're not gay and what happened will stay between them.
You know I ain't queer.
Me neither.
Yeah, you know, because when I'm out in the woods, there's nothing I like better than straight woman sex with some chick I can't even look at. But the next night, they cuddle together in the tent, and eventually, as time goes on, the man who hired them drops by and spots the two of them wrestling around shirtless, and getting a little too friendly. He drops by later to tell Gyllenhaal that his uncle is dying. They both seem to not really care about it, and a few scenes later, Gyllenhaal packs up everything, tells Ledger that his uncle didn't die after all and is going to be fine, but they need to lead the herd back home because a storm's coming. So basically the dying uncle here is as essential as, let's say, the subplot of Claudette's breast cancer in The Room.
I got the results of the test back. I definitely have breast cancer.
Or any subplot in that movie for that matter.
Did you get your promotion?
Nah.
That jerk Harold. He wants me to give him a share of my house.
I bought some drugs off of him.
They say goodbye, they go their separate ways. Ledger's character gets married to a bland, boring female character and has 2 kids. And eventually Gyllenhaal gets married to Anne Hathaway, who starts out as an interesting character, being a female rodeo rider, but quickly dissolves into nothing but a boring, bland, and frankly unnecessary character. And honestly, I didn't know Anne Hathaway could do bland. Quirky, yes, I've seen her do quirky, but bland?
I'm here.
Eventually, Gyllenhaal tries to get his job back from the same employer at Brokeback Mountain, but he gets turned down because he was paid to actually do his job and watch the sheep, not screw around with his boyfriend. I know this was probably, or may have been, intended to be a scene that depicted intolerance, but the boss is right here. We do see that some of the sheep did get killed because nobody was keeping an eye out for them, and any other human being would have been fired for having sex rather than doing their job. Well, unless, of course, they're a prostitute. 4 years roll by, and finally Gyllenhaal drops by to see Ledger for the first time since they both worked at Brokeback Mountain. As soon as Ledger spots Gyllenhaal's truck pulling up, he runs in front to greet him, and proceeds to make out with him in the well hid in front of the fucking house. I don't see how this could go. Oh yeah, the wife might look.
You, sir, are an idiot.
Ledger heads back up to the house, introduces Gyllenhaal, and tells her that they're going to be out late tonight and probably won't be back till morning. Seriously, he's not even trying to be subtle. Sure enough, they go to a hotel to screw around, and the next morning Ledger arrives to tell her that they're just going out on a fishing trip for the weekend while Gyllenhaal waits outside by the truck and refuses to even look at her. Again, subtle! They go away for the weekend. Gyllenhaal talks about the possibility of them leaving together to start a ranch together, but Ledger says it's a stupid idea since they both have families to think about now. And of course, people will probably guess what's going on when they notice two men living together. He manages to figure out that that's too obvious, but making out in front of the house is subtle. So instead, they agree to meet up once in a while to take a weekend fishing trip, though Gyllenhaal obviously doesn't seem to like this since he actually wants them to live together. They continue to meet up for their fishing trips, but Ledger's wife finally tells him that she's tired of him never seeming to support her or the kids, and she divorces him and takes the kids. Their lives continue on, and then one Thanksgiving, Ledger's ex finally tells him, or rather yells at him, that she's not stupid, and surprise, surprise, she knows exactly what they were doing on their fishing trips. Ledger snaps at her, moving like he's about to beat the living snot out of her, but instead storms out. Oh, and takes out a truck driver while he's storming to the bar. They continue to meet up for fishing weekends. Ledger has a new girl start to try to work her way into his life, but it ends up going nowhere and it becomes yet another unnecessary plot point. And finally, during their last fishing trip together, Ledger tells Gyllenhaal that rather than meeting him monthly, he won't be able to see him for the next few months because of work. This doesn't go over well. They get into a fight, end up embracing each other while sobbing, and finally part ways for what looks to be the last time. Till one day Ledger gets a letter informing him that Gyllenhaal has died.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
He calls up the ex-wife to find out what happened, and she tells him that she knows about their relationship, and Gyllenhaal died from overinflating a tire to the point of bursting. The rim broke off and cut him into his head, causing him to drown in his own blood. But as she tells the story, the camera goes to show us that he was actually mugged by a group of men with crowbars and beaten to death. I guess it was probably because they found out about him. I mean, he wasn't exactly a subtle character either. Hell, nobody in this movie is subtle at all. Ledger heads over to Gyllenhaal's parents' home to take Gyllenhaal's ashes to scatter them on Brokeback Mountain. The parents, however, refuse, wanting the ashes to be buried in the family plot, but they allow him into Gyllenhaal's old bedroom, where Ledger proceeds to fondle and smell one of Gyllenhaal's shirts. Subtle! He takes the shirt with him instead, and the movie wraps up with Ledger's daughter dropping by to visit him and tell him that she's getting married and he's invited, and the movie ends. Where do I begin? This movie sucks! There are some tender scenes between Ledger and Gyllenhaal, but the little things that ruined this movie really ruined it. It's far too long. The beginning was long, extended scenes of nothing happening. The relationship is so random and its start is so abrupt, it makes it difficult to buy. The wives were obviously written to be dull and dry so that you were happy to see them ignored and cheated on, and the few scenes of prejudice the movie included were either downplayed or simply unrealistic. Homosexuality is still one of the most controversial issues in America. You have to really try to screw up portraying all the intolerance that comes with that lifestyle. This could have been a great movie. I wanted it to be a great movie. A gay romance is far less common than your run-of-the-mill crappy romantic comedy. But this was done so lazily, and the plot felt like something a teenager would have written. The only thing that stayed perfect throughout the entire film was Heath Ledger's gorgeous nude body. In the end, this movie was not at all worth any of the praise or condemnation it received. It's a mediocre film about two gay cowboys in love. Ta-da!
I'm a cowboy on a